the meeting is being recorded. Persons wishing to address the board on any agenda or non-agendized item may fill out speaker card. We do have a few. Sandy, I have that for you on the speaker item. So please stand for the pledge of allegiance. And by matter of recommendation, Melanie, would you like to please lead us for the pledge of allegiance this evening?
Put your right hand over your heart. Ready? Begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All born and unborn, of course.
Amen.
Board, we have an agenda to adopt. We have a motion.
Motion.
Motion by Karen, second by Joe.
I like sitting up here. I don't need my glasses to read the book. Did they get me TVs?
I just wrote them down. Oh, I know. Oops.
Waiting on the vote.
Thank you.
Please vote. Motion passes 5-0. We have a report out of closed session this evening. This evening, closed session, the governing board approved a separation agreement with employee number 243275 with a unanimous vote. In addition, in closed session, the following candidates were appointed to be principal: Stacy Perkins, Michael Wallace, Peter Achosco, Kelly Coffin, Patty Lee, Jeremy Holbert, Jennifer Brown. The following candidates were appointed to be vice principal: Elizabeth Rosick, Kayla Lee Cheers Rodriguez, Gina Utah. Our congratulations to you. We now have the presentation of first reading, the amended board bylaws 9320 on meeting notices. Sandy, I presume that's you. We have 7A. Sandy, it's your convenience.
Is this public comment?
Okay.
This is public comment. This is public comment.
Hi, everybody.
Hello.
Glad to be back. I'm thinking about the YMCA camp, and I think it was probably wonderful some years ago for the children to be able to.
Sandy,
Yes.
we're talking about, for this particular item, this is the changing of the meetings and meeting
Oh,
notices,
got
not
the
the
wrong
YMCA one.
Okay, thank you.
But we'll get to the other ones.
I was trying to find my notes when you were saying that originally, thank you. Okay, it's awesome with what has, as far as I've been coming here for I don't know how many years, it's been just about every other week. And I don't know how you get all the information in one meeting a month, it doesn't make sense. Some of the meetings, even that are every other week, have still been pretty long. I'm pretty sure I'm trying to get dinner in lunchtime, so I don't have to take a lot of time later. Hello, little fella. And, I think it's really important to have all the time that's necessary for people to be able to speak, both for you all and for the attendees, to be able to say something that's basically what I've got to say there, but I think it's important to be able to get all the information possible out to people.
Thank you. board, we have a presentation and first reading is required for revision of bylaws. Bylaws will be brought to the next regular board meeting for second reading and adoption unless supposed to be agreed to adopt and waive. Governing board meeting presented with the draft to conduct the first reading of the amended bylaw 9320 meetings and notices. So the discussion is now open. Any comments from the board?
I think there's another vote here to actually change the board meetings to once a month on this agenda, so I'm not sure if this is the appropriate time to bring it up. However, if we decide to have one meeting per month, I think we ought to move the public comment toward the front of those meetings, so folks don't have to stay here late into the night waiting.
Fair enough comment. And a couple things to address Sandy's point specifically. When it was discussed, we've had certain meetings with very, very light agendas that go very, very quickly. And we have other meetings such as this evening because we didn't have a meeting that will be longer and a little bit more involved. The concept is more or less to allow us to have some fluidity that when we do have an important topic or we do have an issue that comes up that should take more time, the board still has the opportunity to call what we call a special meeting, notice the public, and still have plenty of opportunity to have input. That was one of the most important aspects when we started looking at whether we should or shouldn't, take a look at changing this bylaw. Just so we understand what our thought process was. It's not that we won't have 2 meetings per month, it's just that it's not mandated. If it's required, then we can put it together because we then can determine we either do or do not have the time to properly adjudicate whatever we need to go through. So, do we have a motion to adopt and waive, or do we have a motion simply to adopt and then have a second reading?
Motion to adopt and then have a second, or a motion to have a second reading, rather.
Okay. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Karen. So we will vote. Verbal vote. All in favor of having a second reading, please say aye. Aye. Any nays? Anybody say aye that didn't say aye? There we go. Passes 5-0. We will have a second reading of the next week. Now, for what I think we've all been waiting for to an extent, recognition of our TEDx speakers.
Before I want to recognize our speakers, I want to do a quick recap with everybody so we can see how our event went. I want to thank everybody who attended. Again, it was an amazing day, recognizing and cheering on all of our youth in our schools. This is our 9th year, getting ready for our 10th year coming up, but just some recaps and some statistics to go with you guys. So this year we had 21 tickets reserved, which is really amazing. We ran out of hangers at the event. We had about 1250 attendees check in. We did do live stream on YouTube. As of today, 450 have viewed that live stream on YouTube. And additionally, we had 250 plus attendees attend, looking at the performances in the back of the park. We had a small but mighty team of 10 organize our team and organize our event this year. We had a record of every school site in Cajon Valley have a TED Ed type club this year, which is amazing. And one teacher supporting it, or multiple teachers supporting it at one site. So that was really, really amazing. And then about 155 volunteers for the day. So thank you to all our volunteers. Our other had 21 total speakers representing 18 different schools in El Cajon. We had 8 student hosts, and our students this year were from 3rd grade all the way to 11th grade. We did have one Granite Hills student participate this year. 16 performance groups, so we had 3 performances inside the theater, and then the remaining were outside our theater throughout the day. What I loved about it, it was just full of culture. We had so many different cultures represented in our performances. It was really nice to see. About 1,500 art displays from all of our Cajon Valley students. Our amazing Abatha program specialist, Megan Reynolds, coordinated all of our student artwork in our around the theater. We had some really cool interactive activities outside. Slime was a big popular one. We had our beautiful paint by numbers posted in the back there. We had videos, we had a 360 photo booth there, so we had 99 photos taken with that. Our beautiful Build a City is out in the lobby for us to see, so that was a fun activity to do. And then we had Me 6 meet over 146 for our activities that day. We had our amazing food trucks and CSEA ice cream booth. Thank you, CSEA, for coming and supporting us as always. This is our fresh off the press, there you go, is our recap video of the day.
So we're here at our 9th annual TEDx Kids at El Cajon events at the Magnolia Theater. We have 21 speakers this year, ranging from 3rd grade is our youngest speaker, all the way to 11th grade. All our students today are from El Cajon schools. We have 18 schools represented. We have youth speakers, youth hosts, performers, all here today, outside performers, inside performers. All of our community is here to support our speakers to give their amazing talks.
My superpower is autism, and it will always be a part of my story. It may be a part of yours too.
We are so excited for Cajon Valley Union School District to be a part of TEDx Kids at El Cajon. This is such a great opportunity for our students in the district to learn about presentation literacy, to build their confidence. So we are so proud of what they've been doing in their clubs, all the way to presenting on stage here today.
We have the potential to change the world if we accept people for who they are. What may seem like a small difference to us may really seem like a big difference for others.
As a community mentor, just to be able to come in once a week, once every other week, and see young people progress as they grow their ideas just from a seed, from an idea, into this built-out story that they deliver so amazingly on stage. It's really cool to see. It's inspiring. The future is bright.
These kids are our future, okay? And I think the depth of the ideas was what really caught my attention. It went from one end of the spectrum to another end of the spectrum. And these kids have a lot on their minds. We need to listen to them.
If we all started to treat each other the way we wanted to be treated, our environment could become whole. And we can all brighten each other's moods by doing the smallest action. I love TEDx because it can bring people together. We can all just come out and listen to other people's words and just improve our community by a whole bunch. So what I hope people learn from my talk is, I hope they learn that everyone's a human, which means we can just go out and just treat everyone with love and respect.
We can change the future. Here now, starting with us. I want to say to all the other speakers that I'm so proud that you had the confidence and imagination to get up on that stage and do what you just did.
Seeing these kids light up after their talk and light up on the stage, and seeing the community come together to wrap their arms around them and support them after this and during the event is so special. They need a community, they need their teachers, they need everybody to believe in them, and I feel like this event does that for them.
Save the date. We have our
Jen, when they come up, is look and line them up here. That way we can take pictures.
Perfect, it just stands in here.
Yeah.
Okay. Hello, Ali. Nam Alalo. Basul Anusari. Ali Altakani. Babish Athena. Elio Mazaz. Eva Grieska. Elijah Davis. Sierra Gallardo. Annie Gardy. Skylar Grande. Sana Habibi. Rafa Ahmad. Stephanie Hernandez Herve. Roman Hamid. Annabelle Casal. Aiden McKeeman. Jeremiah Mitchell. Giovanni Ocampo. Melanie Orozco. Ashton Rigo. Maya Saya. And Dean Shaw. And a round of applause for our next speaker.
Go in front. I stand back.
Mom, Dad.
Hold on. Come on, squeeze in, guys. Squeeze in.
Ready, one?
Wait, we're not ready.
We're not ready.
Not ready at all. Squeeze in, guys. Squeeze in.
1, 2, 3.
Or do you want to
Now, ladies and gentlemen, that's good.
Great job, guys.
baile, Violeta Moderación.
We have treats and refreshments for our speakers and their
Will you
families.
type in your phone number before?
And I believe Mr. Howard and Ms. Jen will take them.
So is it through Pony Valley that you're taking them after?
And you're more than welcome to stay for the board meeting, but I think that the treats and refreshment on the other side might be better. And principals and staff, feel free to join them as well. Oh yes, for our TEDx supporters, everybody. And we also want to thank the Cajon staff for allowing our students to be here first and then having your staff come later so that we can all share the space. That was very gracious of you. Thank you.
What's the square thing that they were getting?
I think a Cajon Valley coin. It had like a coin inside of the square package.
It's okay. Something is a brown.
Maybe she doesn't think I don't know. Maybe they're faster. I'm guessing they're here over something. When they come, they speak. That's what you're scared of.
I feel left out.
Well, yeah. I know where it's
Where's Kinder Academy on this Yes, but you can stay for longer. Improving Kinder Academy must be. Yeah.
All right, bring us back into the active part of the meeting. Or we have a consent agenda before you. Do we have a motion to adopt the consent agenda? Motion by Joe.
Second.
Second by Karen.
I have one minor correction to the board meeting minutes from last time. Now or next. So just, it said I shared about repairs to Blossom Valley. I just want to change that. I shared about repairs to Crest. I do have repairs to share about Blossom Valley today, but not last meeting was about Crest.
All right, with that correction that we'll make to the minutes, Karen, you got a vote on that? Please vote. agenda with the corrections in the minutes, passes 5-0. Moving to action item number 9A, travel and conference. It's recommended that the governing board approve the travel and conference as presented. We have a motion. Motion by Joe, second by Juliana. Any discussion? Hearing none, please vote. Item passes 5-0. 9B. It's recommended that the governing board approve the declaration of need for fully qualified educators. Do we have a motion?
Motion.
Motion by Karen. Do we have a second? Second by Juliana. Any questions or discussions? It always strikes me as interesting that we have to declare that we have a need for fully qualified educators. There we go. Please vote.
That should always be a thing. That's what
Passes 5-0. C, it's recommended that the governing board approve the declaration of need for fully qualified educators. Oh, Bostonian, pardon me.
Motion.
Motion by Karen,
Second.
second by Anthony. Questions, comments? Please vote. Matter passes 5-0. Next, consulting agreements. 9D, it's recommended that the governing board approve and ratify the consultants as listed. Do we have a motion? Motion by Joe.
Second.
Second by Karen.
I'd like to pull items number 5 and 6 and vote on them separately. They're both the attorney agreements.
What numbers did you say?
So,
5 and 6.
is there a motion by Anthony, is there a second to pull items 5 and 6?
I don't think I need the second.
Just need to go separately.
Agreed. So we will vote with 5 and 6 pulled separately. We already have a motion, we already have a second, so please vote. Less 5 and 6, the matter passes 5-0. Anthony, what would you like to do with 5 and 6?
I move that we table it until we've completed a successful evaluation of the performance of the firms, both firms, Best Best and Krieger and Arcana.
Anthony's motion is to table 5 and 6 until a evaluation or an evaluation can be conducted. Do we have a second to that motion?
And by the way, my rationale is that our board bylaw says that we shall annually evaluate the performance of the firm and or attorneys providing legal services. And then upon a successful evaluation, the board may renew the agreement with legal counsel without initiating a request for proposal.
Thank you, Anthony. Do we have a second? Not hearing a second, the motion dies. We will then vote on 5 and 6 independently. So, it's recommended to the board that we adopt 9D sub B, which is the reinstatement renewal of the contract with Ariana Shinoff. 5, pardon me. And we'll do the next one for Best Best and Krieger. So motion on 9D5. We have a motion. Motion by Joe. Do we have a second? I will second the motion. Please vote, verbal vote. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed?
No.
Passes 4-1. Next motion is to adopt the consulting agreement by Best and Krieger. We have a motion. Motion by Karen. We have a second. Second by Joe. Another verbal vote. All in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed?
No.
Passes 4-1. Moving to item 9E. We do have it's recommended that the governing board renew agreements with the San Diego County Office of Education for schools to participate in the 2023 to 2024 outdoor education and science outreach programs. Do we have a motion on this one?
Motion.
Motion by Karen, do we have a second?
I have a question on this one. You want to wait for a second?
Please. Do we have a second on the matter?
Second.
Second by Joe. Discussion, go right ahead.
Can we hear from public comment first before we discuss?
There is no public comment.
Oh, I thought you said there was a speaker card.
No, it was 9J, right? That's right.
Okay. So it says renew outdoor education program with the County Office of Education, but I see that YMCA, Camp Larson, and Raintree Ranch are included. And then there's a statement that each school participating in the YMCA camp will complete a similar contract, but that contract is not attached. So I would like to modify the motion to approve the outdoor education program for the San Diego County Office of Education, but remove the YMCA, given the absence of contract with them.
We have comment by staff on that.
Kim, I did have a comment on that. You signed a paper. On the
Well,
camp.
I'm saying, I have 9J listed on the card.
Whichever it is, it's for the YMCA.
That's on the overnight field trips on
Okay.
9J, and I'm getting a little outside of the
Thank you.
program. Right, this should be, so that would be 9E. So I'm gonna, folks, I'm gonna table this moment. Sandy, I believe that you should have this on this particular topic because it's just mislabeled on the card, so why don't you please take this?
Okay,
seat?
thank you.
And if you wanna talk at 9J, you're already lined up. We'll get there. Overnight field trip.
Again, I'm wondering if the YMCA have an idea, is that not working? Is that working? Yes. Yeah.
Yep.
I really think the idea was excellent before this stuff with the pronouns came in. And an agreement is needed. Do you have, can you get the YMCA camp agreement? And, we need a copy of their policies and what they're going to do. And the young man who spoke 6 weeks ago, whenever it was, who was at camp before, and he was, to summarize what he said, it was a terrible experience having to put up with this nonsense with the pronouns. Where either he or she, a young girl or a young guy, there are no others. So how can people, parents even think of sending their children, or you all, I'm sorry, put it this way, of sending children where they're able to use different pronouns? So I think that needs to be rethought about whether the children go to the camps or find another camp that would be a lot better than the YMCA if they're using those programs. And make sure that any other camp is not using those programs. There we go. Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you, Sandy. Coming back and re-engaging with staff, Scott, do you have a comment on Anthony's question?
My comment is this is the same agenda we've used last, since I've been here. But in looking at it, even the action item says county office programs. And then the last sentence, it talks about school sites will sign a similar contract for YMCA programs. So if the board would like, we could bring back an item next meeting, particularly on the YMCA camps, with a contract attached, and we could just vote in the county office tonight.
That would be my suggestion as
I
well.
would agree.
So,
Good catch.
Anthony, would you, approve a friendly amendment to vote on this item, less the YMCA component, and we'll bring back the YMCA component next time?
Do I need to say approve, or do you want me to say what you, similar to what you just said?
You can do it either way.
I approve your, friendly amendment.
Okay. With the amendment as issued, do we have a second? Do we already second? Oh, well, in that case, friendly amendment, please vote. As amended, 5-0. Moving to the next item. F. It's recommended that the governing board approve the internship agreement with the University of Massachusetts Global. Do we have a motion?
Motion.
Motion by Joe. Do we have a second? Second by Juliana. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, please vote. There it is. Matter passes 5-0. Moving to item G. This is discussion and information. Michelle?
No, they're just open for sunshine period, so everybody is aware of the articles that we intend to negotiate with CSEA and CVEA.
Do we have a motion? Motion by Juliana, second. Second by Joe. Please vote. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? 5-0. Moving to item A. H. Bargaining classes. Bargaining proposal. Again, similar except now with the California School Employees Association, chapter 179. Karen, you want another verbal vote on this one? Do we have a motion? Motion by Juliana, second by Joe. Any questions? Hearing none, please vote. All in favor say
Aye.
aye. Aye. Opposed? 5-0. Moving to I now. It is recommended that the governing board reject the claim, Lewis v. Cajon Valley Union School District. We have a motion. Motion by Joe, do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Karen. Questions or comments? Hearing none, please vote. Passes 5-0. Moving on now to J. It's recommended that the governing board ratify and approve the overnight field trips as listed. We have a motion. Motion by Joe, second. Second by Juliana. Any questions or comments?
I have a comment on the YMCA overnight camp that occurred about 2 months ago in March with the counselors and the students. And when we bring this YMCA contract back, I have found that the YMCA has been captured by some radical organizations, which is included in the packet here. You'll see the YMCA says, follow our Safe Place North on Instagram. And this weekend they're having Queers in the Wild where they're gonna invite individuals age 15 to 28 to the event. On page, well, there's a lot of disturbing stuff, but they're offering to pay. This is our Safe Place North, which is the YMCA. This is page 14, and I put red page numbers. I added those red page numbers at the top of top right corner of the pages. Page 14, they're seeking transgender and non-binary secret shoppers. They say, want to get paid to review your primary care specialist medical provider? Are you trans or non-binary and between the ages of 12 and 21 years old? So they're offering them $20. This is the YMCA organization, YMCA San Diego organization. They're offering them $20 electronic gift card to do a secret shopper with their doctor and report back to the organization with, I guess, private medical information as a 12-year-old. So all of this, our Safe Place North, I mean, I've printed many pages, but extremely concerning, predatory sort of behavior. I want to go back to the fact that the YMCA refused to share their policies with us, even though their own policy document on page 20 of my handout says that they will defer, if they're asked by media about the WISE inclusion policy, they will defer to our inclusivity statement and guidelines in place. So they refused. The superintendent asked them to share their policies, they refused. Parents asked the superintendent to share the camp counselors' names who their kids were with at 6th grade camp. They refused. So when we bring this contract back, we need to have some stipulations that camp counselor names will be shared prior to. Parents will be notified about their policies so that they can make arrangements for private accommodations if they wish. And I mean, if they're still using glsen.org to guide their policy, that pronouns should never be assumed and that educators should ask kids what pronouns they want to be called at camp and what they want to be called in front of their parents, there's a problem there where they're actually trampling on the parent-to-child relationship, especially with regard to 6th graders. So that's my comment. We're finding out, 2 months after the fact that this thing occurred with the camp counselors and the students at this camp, and I think it just highlights the need that we need to have some clear policy guidance after what happened to our 6th graders at camp this year.
Question, it says August of 2018.
Are you talking about the page where YMCA is offering individual and group psychotherapy to 12-year-olds?
No, it's,
Psychiatric services.
or welcome to our safe place, but it's at the bottom, but it says that it's participants in 2018.
At the top left corner, it says it was printed today at 6:39 a.m.
Okay.
from their YMCASD.org website.
Yeah.
And then they tell people to go to our Safe Place North on Instagram, which is all of these screenshots I shared with the board. I mean, they have some stuff in here that is just, they're asking 12 or 10-year-olds, they want to have 10 to 13-year-olds at one of their events.
Well, I would assume that these perhaps may be annual events, but for example, on page 4, the event for youth ages 12 to 17, dated June 18th, and the pretty much lower right-hand corner, it says that this was a June 2022, 50 weeks ago.
Yeah, that was last summer. YMCA did that, and then they have the Quarters in the Wild coming up on Sunday as well. So just to highlight some of the concerns I have with the organization, I think they've been absolutely captured by a radical ideology since about 2020.
There's other camps.
And so our fiduciary obligation to students would, in my view, as a board, require that we make sure that the parent-child relationship is protected.
Yes.
That these organizations are not soliciting direct contact relationships with children. collecting private medical information, offering them $20 gift cards to, as a 12-year-old to, I know we have children in the audience, but these groups are here in our district. And I'll give a child warning as there's more. Yeah, and we need to respect them by keeping this out of the classroom.
So, couple of things. One, you brought up a number of issues that have nothing to do with our schools or our kids directly, but are deeply disturbing about what their overall viewpoint is. Agreed. I don't know if that was all directly applicable to ratifying the overnight trip that's already happened. And in light of the entirety of discussion we've had on this topic already, which has been extensive, I appreciate the research that you continue to do. I share your very deep concern, as you know I do. And we have work to do, simple as that. Because I agree in seeing these comments about the pronouns issue. Yeah, there's issues. But for this particular topic, let's make sure that we're staying focused on what this topic is, which was an overnight field trip that's already happened. It's ex post facto ratification. The motion's been made, there's been a second. Do we have any other additional comments? And Anthony, again, thank you for your research. Okay, with that said, please vote. Passes 5-0. Moving to K, it's recommended that the governing board adopt a resolution approving the material revision of the charter for Kenju Academy. Do we have a motion?
Motion.
Oh, hold on. No, there's no speaker card on the table. There's no on the table. Motion by Anthony. Second?
Second.
Second by Juliana. Good, Juliana. Any additional comments? No additional comments, then. Please vote. And the matter passes 5-0. Next. Yep. Folks are good. If you would like to take a moment, there's no obligation to remain for the rest of the meeting. If you'd like to stand up, we'll take a 60-second break.
Thank you.
We got time, man. We'll be here all night. Hills Campground has a nice fair walk, and it's just their responsibility.
Thank you, Kim.
They do sixth grade camp, Indian Hills Camp, and they do sixth grade camp in
I've
Humboldt.
always gone there for Blossom. Now, and Pine Valley, they have that camp, and there's like armed
Services.
They have like a horse camp,
Is it
which is like the sounds but big. Remember we were at the East County Policy meeting? And,
yeah, so
oh wait, were you there with us? You weren't even there with us.
no, but I know what group you're talking about.
But they came and they spoke. I'm like, why don't we go there? But Dr. Mercer and Jim were there. It's like, why don't we look for a new partnership?
Well, anyways, like we have such a good relationship with the YMCA, with the YMCA team in this town, if we decided to come back. It's a huge contract. Who cares about the relationship? Who cares?
I'd rather not go.
He said hi when I walked in from back there. I could come over here. It was before you got here.
I didn't even see it until it's too late. I didn't see it until it's too late. And get a chance to say hello. And I think I'll let my gone.
I thought maybe he was here too.
Me too.
I was like, oh,
But maybe they had a speaker.
All right, folks, we're gonna get back to it. We're gonna avoid it down the road. All right, we are going to now adopt the annual authorizations. It's recommended the governing board adopt the annual authorization and associated resolutions for 2022, 2023, and 2024. Adopt.
Motion.
Motion by Karen, second. Second by Juliana. Questions, comments? Hearing none, please vote. Is it not? Okay, you said it again, or you want to do it verbally? Okay.
They just didn't.
Yeah. The upper right-hand corner, Karen's saying change vote, which means to me that the vote is still open, but I can't pretty much click on that and then try to revote. You did that? See if I can see that. All right, let's try that.
How's the top right corner? It's yellow instead of red like it usually is.
Right.
Yes, you can change it now. Did it twice.
All right, pass 5-0. Thank you. Coming down to item letter M, it's recommended that the governing board adopt a resolution for expenditure of education protection account, EPA funds. Do we have a motion? Motion by Juliana. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Joe. Please vote. Passes 5-0. Going to letter N. It is recommended that the governing board adopt a resolution authorizing temporary interfund transfers. Do we have a motion? Motion by Joe, second.
Second.
Second by Anthony. No questions, please vote. Passes 5-0. Going to O. It is recommended that the governing board approve the contract with Educators Cooperative to support safety and health objectives. Motion by Joe, do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Karen. Questions or comments? This is a big item, folks.
Thank you, Karen, for all your hard work.
Tons of them. Please vote. Passes 5-0. Item letter B. It's recommended the governing board award bid number 1608 to Fordyce Construction, with a total combined bid amount of $2,423,714 as the lowest responsive bidder, and authorize staff to approve necessary change orders, subject to ratification, and accept the project upon completion. Do we have a motion? Motion by Joe. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Karen. Questions or comments? Please vote. Passes 5-0. Moving to item Q. It is recommended that the governing board award bid number 1603 to Optimus Building Company. Authorize staff to approve necessary change orders, subject to ratification, and accept the project upon completion. Do we have a motion?
Motion.
Motion by Karen, second.
Second.
Second by Anthony. Any questions? This is for the painting projects at Anza Magnolia WD Hall. Please vote. Make it pretty. Somebody please write down, Karen said make it pretty. I agree.
Asking for the votes, but I've done my best.
You see, do it again?
Yeah, it's asking for the votes again.
All right. Try to do your vote again, folks.
We need to follow board docs, don't we?
So much for their update. Passes 5-0. Coming down to R. It's recommended that the governing board award bid number 1597 for food staples, dry goods, and frozen foods to the 3 lowest responsive bidders, and authorize staff to execute the necessary documents. Do we have a motion? Motion by Juliana. Do we have a second? Second by Joe. Questions or comments? Please vote. The item passes 5-0. Moving to item S. Ma'am, do you need tissue? Are you okay?
Yeah.
It's recommended that the governing board award bid 1602 commodities to Gold Star Foods as the lowest responsible bidder, and authorize staff to execute the necessary paperwork. Do we have a motion?
Motion.
Motion by Anthony, second by Joe. Please vote. Matter passes 5-0. Moving to item T. No. So it's recommended that the governing board approve the recommended board meeting schedule change.
I move to table T. setting all of our future meetings for this year at one per month.
June has to.
Correct, except for June, which has to.
June has to.
Right. So it really only affects, we only have one in December as is, and we only have one in July normally as is, so it only affects
One in August.
the August meeting.
So we're moving one August meeting effectively this year?
Generally speaking, and one in September.
No, well, not even one. It's usually one. But no, we have to. This year.
I don't think it's time for discussion yet, but I want to hear what Joe has to say on this. Because it was her brainchild at the beginning, I think.
Right,
I would think that we would need to table it.
I was questioning the table only because of the reading of the board bylaw. Because in the board bylaw, it talks about how, we need to change the amount of meetings that we have per month. And so what we had decided was to wait for the second reading. And since we had agreed that we were going to wait for the second reading, that's why I had mentioned if we would also be tabling T and U. And I would also agree to move public comments to the beginning of the agenda.
So, and I go last, never mind. Anybody else have any comments? Okay, so my thought process was that in tabling the board policy, that affects next year's, calendar, doesn't affect this year's calendar, which we still have full control over.
Okay.
So that's why I would table the next item, but not this item, that's why I called for it.
Okay.
That makes sense.
Because we can, as a board, we can always change our current scheduled calendar without a board bylaw topic. The board bylaw topic, I think, applies to future, not current.
But I don't think it would make any difference.
We're talking about school year.
I withdraw my motion on this and I'll wait till the next one.
Yeah, because for this one, it affects so little. That's what I was thinking
2
myself.
months.
Yeah.
3 months.
Okay. So, Anthony has withdrawn his motion to table. With that said, we have a motion to adopt.
Motion to adopt.
Motion by Joe to adopt for this year. Second by Juliana. Please vote.
Change the next meeting.
The matter passes 5-0. Now, with the former item going to a second reading, I believe that you should automatically be tabled to the next meeting. Does anybody have any objection to doing that? We will table you till the next meeting. Moving to item V. It is recommended that the governing board approve the amendments to the batteries energy storage installation agreements and to the operation and maintenance agreements for Cajon Valley, Bostonia Global, Emerald, Greenfield, and Montgomery, as well as the termination agreement for Norlandia. Do we have a motion on this matter? Motion by Juliana. Do we have a second? We have a second from Joe. Comments or discussion?
I have some comments on this one. And it's in to propose an amendment. So back on December 13th, I asked the design build consultant whether these Chinese lithium-ion battery containers had ever been installed so close to classroom buildings. He did not answer yes or no. He brought up some other school district in Northern California. I had a chance to ask him again today. I had to ask the question like 2.5 times to learn that the answer is no. We are the first such installation of these battery systems so near to classrooms in the state, probably the nation. Since we are now here to approve amendments to the agreement, including swapping out the originally approved batteries, the core component of the system, and a new proposal to use performance software to get more out of the smaller capacity battery system, I propose an amendment that the design builder shall seek recommendations from the local firefighting authority, and that the design builder and the board take those recommendations into account prior to final approval of the installation plans. I do realize we're not required to involve the local firefighting authority on projects under DSA, but this is a novel project. The local firefighting authority should be involved in advising the safe placement of these systems, since they will be the ones to put out the fire. I had to ask the consultant a couple different ways to find out that the fire safety testing for this system was done in the People's Republic of China. So you're not having underwriters laboratories do this in the United States. The saving of $2 million over 15 years works out to just under $34,000 per year per school site. I don't think it's worth it to take the risk. They assume, and they told me this today, that the decommissioning cost will be zero. I talked with another builder of these battery systems in North County, and their plan for decommissioning in 15, well, they're 2 years into it, but their plan is just to move the old unit to the side and plug in a new one. So I think our design builder has made a non-industry standard assumption by assuming that the cost to remove these will be zero in 15 years and dispose of them. Let's see. You know, the worst case scenario with these systems is that they turn into a 5,000 degree explosive ion battery fire in the schoolyard. At Greenfield, there are 3 aged classrooms which exit a covered corridor where this container of Chinese batteries will be placed between 2 aged buildings. And the reason they did that was so they could get as close as possible to the existing switchgear. So since we are the first and we have sole sourced this design build contract, and the rules are being written by DSA as we speak, we really should involve our local firefighting authority.
Yes.
Can we hear from Scott or Sharon on this?
I know, Anthony's been speaking to our consultant today. There actually is a government code specifically that defers this type of construction to the DSA. We are a government agency of the state, and we do not fall under the fire marshal. There will be conflict of interest potentially between the 2 entities. And in actuality, DSA, my understanding here, fire marshal does a unit level test of the batteries, which is a test of the cabinet with batteries inside. DSA actually takes it 2 steps higher than that. They do the unit level test, the module level, batteries test, and then the cell level, the battery cells test. They actually take it two steps higher than the fire marshal would. In addition, there actually is a whole process. I have to disagree with you, Anthony, as far as the testing. DSA will not approve a battery if it's not performed in a United States test or certified by a United States testing company, and actually has to have a licensed fire protection engineer to oversee that testing. I had never even heard that position until we going through the DSA process, and so without that engineer signing off on the process, DSA would not approve it. So that will all happen. As I said before, the safety of the students is ultimately our highest priority, and DSA's as well. And we're meeting all the guidelines at DSA. There is a requirement of 10 feet clearance from all buildings. DSA has also made us separate the batteries so they are not adjoining. With a certain capacity, DSA makes you put like a block wall around the batteries. But if you separate them out by further enough distance, that's not required. So while it is new to DSA, they are developing the guidelines, and it's very stringent going through this process. And I feel totally confident that, like we do for all of our projects, you could say that buildings could fall down. Well, that's why we have DSA to approve all construction and architects, and they are going through that process. And without DSA approval, these can't move forward. So we're kind of in that stage right now of getting all the checks marks DSA approved, and then we'll submit our plans. We already have a contract in place with this organization. They've been doing work for 3 months now, a lot of work, and this is a minor modification in our sense. And Marinka didn't pencil out once you started getting into all the locations of batteries, and so that's why we're limiting that side. There are 4 sites do work out. And I created the savings may not seem significant, but $2 million to our budget, I think, is something.
Over 15 years,
We wouldn't look at
school sites is
projects.
$33,500 per year. Now, it is a matter, it is a fact that the fire testing was done in the People's Republic of China. I confirmed with the consultant earlier today. A conflict of interest, if we're saying, we have amendments before us, if we say We want to amend this where you seek input from the local firefighting authority. People who need to show up and put out the fire, and guarantee that 3 classrooms that Crest can exit where they have an overhang and then they have this thing within 10 feet. I understand DSA says you can install these within 10 feet of an office building or a house, but you're talking 120 students probably in those 3 classrooms right there between these 2 ancient buildings. And we're the first, I don't think we want to be the first guys at this. We will be the first to put them so close to buildings full of children. I think back, what's 15 years ago, 2008, what manufacturers were putting out batteries back then. I know Toyota had, cars going out. I don't think any of those batteries are good anymore. So there's extreme assumptions, there's non-industry standard assumptions. This 33,500 a year saved each year at each school site for 15 years. Again, assumes no decommissioning costs. That is not industry standard. They should be assuming a decommissioning cost. That's just a wild assumption to say, oh, well, we think the commodity value of these spent batteries will be so valuable then that it wouldn't cost us anything to pull the whole container out of, from between 2 aged school buildings. So anyway, the amendment I propose, we seek the local firefighting authority's input. We don't need to create a jurisdictional dispute between DSA and the firefighting authority, because DSA, they only have interpretive regulations on this. We're the first, so they're going to be writing the rules as we go. So why not involve the people who understand East County, for one, and how to get usher resources and fire engines and everything to a site with an explosive lithium-ion battery fire. Worst case, I mean, it's a big risk for $33,500 a year saved at each school site over 15 years.
Are we assuming that DSA did not look at the configuration or the mapping of where our classrooms were? Are we assuming that they didn't look at our own fire regulations here in Cajon Valley? Is that an assumption, or that they hadn't looked at the information that Anthony is mentioning?
They have to look at our plans. That's what the architect's designing right now. They take our plans and make sure we abide by their rules and regulations.
Right now they have interpretive regulations, so the rules haven't been fully set in stone. So our design builder will be negotiating with them. Now our design builder's interest is putting this stuff as close to the switchgear as possible to avoid any trenching to make the numbers work, because if you have to put it in the back 40 away from the classroom buildings, then, it's hard to make it pencil when you're only saving $33,500 per year per school site. But it seems like so little reward. If you times it by 15 years, yeah, it's $2 million, but there's risk and not much reward in my view. And if we're gonna be the first, let's involve the local firefighting authority.
Staff recommendation is to approve as is.
Any other comments from the board? My thought process on this, one, Anthony, comparing car batteries to these particular storage batteries of 15 years ago, obviously a technology leap that is generational pretty much every year. 2, every single person I will bet in this room either has in their pocket or their purse an explosive lithium-ion battery, which is why certain batteries can't fly on airplanes. I recognize that issue as well. If these items were in fact inspected and passed by the appropriate authorities in the United States, that gives us some solace. I'm not seeing, frankly, how the local firefighters, without specific engineering and technology backgrounds, aid in what DSA has already provided. I'm not saying that it couldn't. I'm just not seeing it because it's outside my purview of expertise. It's also outside your purview of expertise.
Well, normally when you build a office school site, you're involving the fire marshal. Any other, project that's built here in El Cajon involves the fire marshal in recommending, placement and.
Respectfully, that is an overstatement.
unless it's state property. If it's private property, then it requires the fire marshal's input. I mean,
We're
even
not-
as much as building a
but we're
bridge,
not
the fire marshal
private
gets to
property,
talk about a
right?
bridge, how wide a bridge is.
So, major point, you made it up with eloquently. The motion is to have an amendment that we seek correct me if I'm wrong, that we seek the input of the local firefighters as far as the placement of the battery installation, is that correct?
Seek the recommendations of the local fire authority.
Okay. And the local fire authority in this sense would be, to clarify.
In the county, I think it's different than the city of El Cajon, like where we are, where my district is in Cajon Valley, it's actually the Lakeside Fire Department.
Because we have like this crossover district.
In Crest, it would be well, it's not being done in Crest, but if it's city, it's gonna be the firefighting authority that would, inspect buildings, private buildings that are built in the city.
So then we have the possibility of having a similar organization providing a cross purposes, different
It's Santa
recommendations.
Gal.
We recognize that, right? Because like Lakeside could have a different opinion than say Heartland, they could have a different opinion from the county, right?
Yeah, just like when you build a building, you're in the city or out in Blossom Valley where I live, you're gonna get San Miguel out there, you're gonna get the city fire authority here, which nobody's thinking about. I'm not sure, but they're the firefighting authority and they usually provide input, look at how are people gonna escape on that bridge? Is it wide enough for a fire truck to be there while cars are pulling out? Is it, is there an entry and egress large enough for 130 students to leave? And for us to contain this thing over here, like they're gonna be the ones fighting this fire if it happens. Worst case, I mean, it is worst case.
Shouldn't they, have the understanding of passage about a disaster such as the fire, despite it being batteries?
So in other words, if there was a fire and it's not battery related,
Earthquake.
some other, any other sort of emergency situation on that, okay. But I'm gonna go back to, Anthony's being very specific, right? He's not being generalized, he's saying, for purposes of moving forward, should we take he's not even saying we have to, he's saying, should we consider, right, the recommendations of the local firefighting authority, right? There's not a, unless I'm misinterpreting, there's not a they get the final say concept in his amendment. I just wanna make sure that we have the amendment as requested accurate. So, yeah, that's
Correct, yeah, I don't think there's a way, if there were a way for me to make it so they have the final say, I would ask for that, but I don't think there is. It's gonna be BSA has the final say, but taking their recommendations into account, an amendment that we will seek their recommendations, take them into account before we decide where we're gonna place these things.
okay. Understood. Do we have a motion on to adopt Anthony's amendment to the overall item? I will so motion. Okay, do we have a second? Second by Juliana. So, with the item as amended, where we will seek the local firefighters' recommendations, please vote.
I'm wondering how that will affect the timelines, is there any?
That was not part of the amendment, nor is it part of the motion, so it's gonna be basically incumbent, as my interpretation will be incumbent upon their availability. If they are available, wonderful. If they're not available, then we give it a shot.
Is that the understanding?
That's the way it's been positioned.
Sharon, take a comment?
This is on.
Yes.
So, one thing I just wanted to, make sure, it sounds like this won't necessarily affect the timelines if it's only recommendation, but we were very fortunate to receive a large, funding approval from SJET, the, self-generation, incentive program, and through, California Energy Commission, which is around $4 million.
Now recognize, that's why we, in my opinion, that was very key to my prior vote on this item. So that is definitely known to this board. So I appreciate you bringing it back up again. If there's anything additional, please feel free to.
Yeah, that was my biggest concern is that, delays could cause us to lose that funding, and the state is moving towards requiring solar with battery backup for all projects, and if that starts becoming a requirement, having this funding and having it paid for is a big advantage for the district. And also this project, in addition to the cost savings over the years, there's the resiliency requirement, which provides battery backup in the event of a power outage, which is beneficial to the school.
Absolutely, and the idea behind Anthony's amendment as he made it is to seek a recommendation. I don't see how that would, in theory, bind us or slow us down on the timeline. So, thank you for that. Karen, do you need an oral vote on that? I haven't seen the vote.
No,
pop up
it
yet.
popped in.
Okay, you voted.
We voted already.
So, okay. There we go. With it as amended, we passes 4-1. Moving now to item W. This is the quarterly Williams report. It's recommended that the governing board accept the quarterly Williams settlement uniform complaint report, January through March 2023. We have a motion.
Motion.
Motion by Joe. Do we have a second? Second. Second by Anthony. Any questions or comments? Please vote. Matter passes 5-0. Move now to communications, 10A. Karen, do we have any moments of silence needed this evening? Coming to 10B, moving to retirements. Michelle.
I'm happy to share we have just 6 retirements to report out this evening. Kathy Connors, our special education preschool teacher, is retiring in June after 37 years of service with the district. Jennifer Kern, teacher at Meridian, is retiring after 26 years of service. Sherry Mosley, a 3rd grade teacher at Blossom Valley, is retiring.
We love her.
After 33 years of service with the district. And Lisa Russo, a 6th grade teacher at Hillsdale, will be retiring after 33 years of service. And Kathy Cloyd, a paraeducator at ANZA, after 16 and a half years of service. And one of our awesome school bus drivers, Althea Howie, will be retiring in July after 11 years of service.
Wow, outstanding. Please thank them for their service.
Many, many years of experience.
Coming into public participation, we have a few speaker cards. Is Mary Davis still here? Okay, thank you.
She said I gotta eat dinner.
For our next speakers, what we do is the next speaker in order will please take the table, and the next 2 speakers stand behind them in order. Scott Ludwig will please take the table. Khalid Ludwig will please stand behind. Caleb, and Kira behind. There'll be a timeline that comes up in a moment.
Does that mean go?
Yes.
I'll restart it. Alright, ready?
Yeah. I just wanted to bring attention to a couple of issues I've been having recently at my children's middle school. 4 months ago, a young boy got the courage to ask my daughter out. And since then, he's being a very respectful boy, walking her to class. They greet each other with hugs, they say goodbye with hugs. And back in April, I received a call stating that they've been warned several times and they need to stop it. And so I asked for the board policy, the administrative regulation, or the California Ed Code that says that they can't do this at school. And basically what I get back is a snip from Las Coaches Creek's student handbook. And in that it says displays of affections are not allowed at school or during school activities. So I asked again. That was April 19th. So I asked again, in my conversation with Keith Hamanka, I asked for California Ed Code board policy. Her response to that was board policy 5131. She didn't specify anything in regards to the PDA, only the fact that the student can be disciplined for violating this. Now, pursuant to this, paragraph 2 of 5131 says the superintendent or designee shall ensure that each school develops standards of conduct and discipline consistent with board policy and administrative regulation. I had a meeting last Tuesday with Karen Vinshu, Johanna Simcoe, principal at LCC, where Karen did confirm there is no board policy on public displays of affection. She sent it in for legal review. That legal review came back saying basically that there isn't one, but because of Hazelwood School District versus Klumer, 484 US 260, 266 of 1988, we can do this. I looked up that case. That case is about a publication, a student newspaper for a journalist class, where students thought their First Amendment rights of freedom of speech were violated because the principal did not allow their article to be posted in the paper. And the Supreme Court ruled in the favor of the school after the appeals court because it was not an open publication for the public to publish in, that the school has editorial rights. My response to this was, this has nothing to do with the issue that I'm having at my daughter's school. You need a board policy or administrative regulation pursuant to board policy and conduct. And that legal review would not stand up in a court of law. So we are agreeing to disagree. My daughter's being respectful, her boyfriend's being respectful. I just want my kids to be able to, like your TEDx says, love the way they want to love and be themselves.
Thank you.
My time is up. And that is my TED Talk.
Taylor.
So I'm here to talk about the school I'm going to, Las Cruces Creek, and how the students and staff bully or mistreat the students. An example I have been bullied is rumors, being attacked, or other things like someone taking my picture without my knowledge. Staff, they have done nothing to mortify the problem I have experienced, like doing absolutely nothing, saying they're going to investigate it when they don't, or getting me suspended when I was doing self-defense. PE is where I was mostly attacked or bullied by students, because no one is really watching what is happening. There are a few people out there, like the coaches, but they really aren't doing anything. Also, staff have called the child abuse hotline for some things I have said, and a cop did show up to our door about that. I have also gotten multiple stay away contracts, and they are saying 20 feet away, don't talk or to them or about them, touching or beyond the social media. I have gotten them multiple times, and they have been broken, I'm wondering if our gender changes the way our staff and teachers look at their students. I would also like to bring up the fact that during PE 6th period one day, we were doing our warm-up laps, which are required for us to do, and I was walking and two other girls come up from behind me. One puts her foot in front of mine and trips me. I ended up, that happened 2 days, on Tuesday, January 24th, and again Thursday, January 26th. I went home Thursday and my ankle was killing me. The following day, January 27th, Friday, we went to urgent care, and I was walking out of there in boot and crutches. I was not dismissed out of that until February 2nd. And then I would like to add my 6th grade camp marching experience in January was very uncomfortable due to the fact that they kept asking me on what I identified as my pronouns. They kept saying that there were more than 2 genders, and I will and I have and I will continue to believe that there are only 2 genders. I would like to help other kids and close down the YMCA camps. In conclusion, staff are always focusing on the minor things and not the bigger things that could cause more issues and could hurt others and myself emotionally and injured physically. Thank you for your time and attendance.
Thank you. Our next 2 speakers, Chrissy, if you will please take the table and the 11th would follow.
Is that the daughter of the man who spoke earlier? Do you know?
First, I want to thank Cajon for providing carbs at the last LCAP day, something that's been missing from the lab events. I also want to thank the board in regards to the sex ed curriculum being looked at and revamped, as well as Ms. Mintra, who is heading that up. I can't even describe to you the actual physical tears of joy that parents had coming thinking I had some part in it, which I did not. How heard they felt by this board, how they feel like finally their voices are coming across, because there isn't this infighting. Whether or not you guys agree or disagree, there's like a very harmonious diversity of thought and respect that's given, and that has helped really focus, in my opinion, and in a large majority of the communities, focus on issues at hand that really affect daily the students of Cajon Valley. I know tabling that and looking at providing a sex ed curriculum that is based on facts and not on theologies is very, very important to a very diverse group of thinkers across our district, and I just want to thank you for that. Side note, thank you, Dr. Mersho, for helping us get buses, and thank you, Karen, for helping me remediate an IEP thing, and Ms. Hayes for helping my friends get hired. I will keep sending them to you, especially now that we have a philosophy and a board that I can really get behind, especially with how wonderful you guys have been. Since Anthony's been voted in, and Joyana, I think, has been a wonderful addition, and it has really been awesome to see you guys cohesively run this district. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Chris.
Good evening, board. My name is Violeta.
One second. There you go.
Good evening, board. My name is Violeta Rivera. I am a parent from Gastonia Elementary School, and I would like to talk a little bit of what's going on in my school. About 2 weeks ago, we had a shooting threat to our school. Our school was not in lockdown, and I already discussed this already with security. Forwarding to that, I left my daughter out of school for a week. She came back, and then she went to the restroom, and I guess while she was in the restroom, a 1st grader and a 4th grader came in, and they started fighting inside the bathroom. The 1st grader came back and said she was gonna bring a knife the following school and stab my daughter and another kid.
child was only suspended for 1 day, and a couple hours ago, I got a call from Ryan Selifer letting me know that there will be nothing done to those kids. They will return back to school. And for me to start looking into my options, which is I will seek legal counsel tomorrow, and I will remove my daughter completely from the school district. I'm very saddened because I have worked 4 years to be a parent advocate here, and I feel so let down by the school district. I have been an advocate for many kids here, and to get that phone call today to tell me to look into my options was not okay for me. I'm here because I need the board to have stiffer rules. My kid is gonna be out of here, but you guys need to protect other kids in the school. This cannot happen. When a kid says they're gonna come and bring a knife, there needs to be zero tolerance, period. Because a kid like that, we cannot help. That is not our duty as the school district to help. Our duty is to educate our kids and to move them forward. My daughter cannot study in school. She cannot concentrate. She is very scared to go back to school, and this is not okay. It's not okay, and I'm sorry I yelled. I'm very upset. I'm saddened that you guys have let me down. I'm saddened that I have to seek another school. I really wish that you guys really take school safety seriously. When there's a threat with the kids saying that they're gonna come shoot up the school, they should not be allowed to return to school. When there's a kid that says, and it's not a statement, it's a threat, it should be taken seriously. Thank you.
Thank you. CVEA? Nothing, not gonna follow that, keep going. Barb? CVAA?
We're good.
Keep going. And PTA done.
One on the PTA council, would it be possible to add to our agenda, I guess that's the next item, feedback. from
Let's
our
go to
PTAs.
11A then. You're up, Anthony. Okay.
Future agenda item to add, PTOs to, the report, which the PTA report are added as a separate agenda item, so we can hear from, Blossom Valley, and I think LCC will be a PTO next year as well. Not sure how many other schools in the district. David's
I
doing
think there
it.
are 2 organizations.
I'm sorry, what did you say, Joe? Yeah, we do need to figure out a way for the groups to come together, because the PTA council is only registered PTAs, and we do wanna have meetings and forums where all the parents and schools are at the same place, so I'll look into some options.
And I know for now, I know that, Jemima has said that PTOs can also submit to the reports, and so. PTA reports?
We just have different rules and bylaws, like, we're not a liberal entity.
Right, but the reports that we get, you can submit your things that are going well,
Yeah.
the upcoming events, and what you need.
Discuss.
So those are all things that are definitely welcome.
Can I answer to you instead of a PTA representative?
Yeah, it's a form that they submit to me, so it's all put together, and so
Could PTOs just submit it to the district?
that's fine.
Okay.
Maybe we can.
I mean, I would love that. And if there is a PTO, meeting, I would love to be a part of that as well. So, being I'm the PTA representative, so, I mean, that would be a nice thing to be invited to as well. So having that mutuality, because I want parents' voices to be heard. That's why I advocated for this. So thank you.
Any other future agenda items?
I have another.
Go for it.
It's multifaceted. It touches on Jim, and actually the whole board was sent a curriculum that got into our elementary classrooms called World Hijab Day, and it told children that a lot of women choose to wear the hijab. On World Hijab Day, they invite women who don't wear the hijab to try the hijab. It puts forth fact about Muslim hate crimes tripling in 2016, which the FBI doesn't corroborate at all. And it asks students, how can you become an activist? On the last page, which I included in our packet, but you guys, we were all sent that some months ago. So that's one curriculum. Another one is on page 23 of the handout. This was sent to me by a parent. It is a picture of the online virtual library on CajonValley.net for Montgomery Middle School on page 23.
Anthony, I don't want to steal your thunder, but if you would want to make the agenda item and then put your support behind it, that might be a little more efficient presentation.
Okay, the discuss future agenda item would be, there's existing board bylaws and administrative regulations that I can deal with it, but I think we need a resolution of the board, that we have a curriculum adoption process, we have, library catalogs where students can search, parents can access any and all books and curriculum and teacher training and all these things. Those administrative regulations are there. There is an administrative regulation on anti-discrimination where it says that school staff shall seek to notify the superintendent about a student revealing their own personal beliefs around sex. I think that should say, shall seek to notify the parent first and then seek permission from the student to notify the parent. But basically putting the parent-to-child relationship back at the center wherever our staff can notify parents. A resolution that we have a curriculum adoption process, we have a book catalog, and so any links or curricula or books, like the book that was at the Madison Elementary Counselor's Office, that doesn't show up in our catalog. The one, It Feels Good to Be Yourself, a book about gender identity, doesn't show up in the Madison Elementary catalog, or I think there's two separate parts. One's for the books, one's for the staff, what staff can hand to students. So there's a lot of different ways that these things are getting in. This page 20, okay, that's my motion to have a resolution to the board to clarify the curriculum adoption process and or not my motion, my future agenda. And then I wanted to describe another way that.
So a resolution to clarify.
Parent-to-child relationship shall not be infringed.
Clarify that the parent-child relationship shall not be infringed.
Yeah.
Got it.
Clarify our curriculum adoption process, our library cataloging and adoption process. Clarify that all the materials are, discoverable by parent. Basically, if a parent comes in and asks, let me see the assemblies and videos and books and teacher training that you're using to teach my student, we have to respond, be responsive to that request. So when we have all these curricula coming in without going through those processes, we're unable to be responsive to them.
Okay, so when we don't do a lot of resolutions because they're generally speaking a non-binding political statement of one side or the other. We reject them from multiple areas. However, with regard to the resolution, what we would need is we would need a drafting of that, just so you know, so if you want, you stay up late doing research, time to start writing as well. Draft a sample resolution for circulation and editing, and we can take a look at it from that way. With all the whereases and therefores and what. I can help you if you want.
I'm gonna take you up on that. So, on page 23 here, the parent sent this to me, the MNS virtual library. So, it says, check out these shelfies on Instagram, and you click these links. And what's interesting is when you're on Cajon Valley and you click a link to California Department of Ed, a little pop-up pops up notifying you you're leaving this Cajon Valley site. When you click on these Instagram profiles that are up on the virtual library, it just takes you right to them. So the following pages, 2 pages, are an Instagram profile where there is some hidden engagement, but it looks like it's really geared toward adults. This guy gives a talk on a book he wrote called Anonymous Sex. Just check the age range of the kids in the audience. So students are here on this guy's page, direct link from our Cajon Valley website. Another thing the library has posted is a link there to the librarian's desk in the picture, a link to SafeSpace, glsen.org. And it has the link, glsen.org. It's kind of hard to read, but it's a link. So you go there, and the pop-up at the beginning of glsen.org, and these groups, coincident with the passing of the comprehensive sex education, began directly targeting students and are explicit that the parents need not be involved. So there's instructions on how to quickly leave the website, how to delete your browsing history with GLSEN. So they're starting this. On page 27, this is GLSEN San Diego. Everything I'm going to show you is GLSEN San Diego. Schools are hostile places for LGBTQ students. Next page. They organized a protest movement with students against the 17-year-old who spoke out against what happened to her at the YMCA. GLSEN San Diego did this. They characterized that 17-year-old girl as a transphobic fearmonger, basically.
She's not, we know her.
So then, next page, page 29, talks about how they had community support to, protest in favor of Mr. Or Mrs. Christine Wood, who was the individual adult in the YMCA locker room. Again, continuing page 30, continuing with this theme that home is not a safe place. LGBTQ students that do not have safe homes. We've seen that before. They're inviting middle school and high school youth. Everything's directed toward 12-year-olds and middle schoolers. That's page 31.
And the focus back on the fact that we're trying to be relevant to the school is that there's actually a link that was on the MMS virtual library that takes kids to all of these issues.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and then page 32, you'll see that the YMCA and GLSEN work together because they also posted that they're offering $20 to 12-year-olds to go to their doctor and then report back to the organization. The Trans Youth Project. Page 33, the Trans Youth Project is, I'll skip over that, but I wanted to get to,
let's right, points made. Can we get staff to review the MMS virtual library like yesterday?
Every time a concern is brought to me, we investigate,
Yeah,
including some of the prior curriculums that were just mentioned.
Yeah, let's get back on this. And I want to know who is responsible for creating those links specifically, and whether they did or did not have authority to do so. Because if they did not, we're gonna have a discussion. And if they did, that'll be a different discussion.
one other thing I'd like to add, Jim, if I may.
But it says 72% of LGBT students report that there aren't any LGBT topics in their classes. Can we discuss what LGBT topics would be in math? Just wondering. I mean, again, it's those fake stats that keep throwing out. All right. You have my attention, you have my support. If you want to keep rolling, keep rolling.
One last thing. So, coincident with the release, and this is page 46 of the handout. This is GLSEN San Diego County's Twitter page. Coincident with the passing of the comprehensive California Health and Youth Act changes and the sex ed, I highlighted two things here. This is from 2018, but it says, big things coming soon. All queer students from 7 to 12 keep an eye out. And then they, 2 days later, say, applications are now live. Check the link in the bio with a winking emoji. So then they invite these 7th graders through their curriculum, thankfully not ours because we don't have it anymore, to fill out this application. It asks them, what is, and this is page 48, if you have a safe home or / school address, what is it? What is your sexual or romantic orientation? Does your school have a GSA? What is in your role working with your GSA? Do you have experience working in other social justice movements? Explain. So I'm in the process of filing a complaint under the Child Online Privacy Protection Act with the FTC because they're seeking such personal information from 12-year-olds. Circumventing, being explicit that will circumvent the parent-to-child relationship. Your parents don't have to know. And I assume GLSE in San Diego is storing this on their Google Drive. Here, how are they protecting the information, safeguarding it? Why are they asking 12-year-olds to reveal these things to them? I don't know, but we need, and it kind of goes back to my future agenda, we need some sort of protection of our students from these predatory groups that seek to establish direct contact relationships with 12-year-olds through their curriculum or through a poster in the library.
So a resolution won't do that because a resolution has no teeth, right? It's a policy position. But a resolution could be the start of something that then develops into policy so long as it coordinates with state law. Also, you may want to talk to somebody at the DA's office about something we just brought up.
Coupled with that, I think that our work that we are intending with the cooperative group, I think would help us to sift through a lot of that information, to really place it fairly. We have to really listen to our community as to what they want and need. And I think with our direction in our health and our safety, for all great reasons of all the things that were presented here tonight, I think that would really help in the direction of what we're hoping to do in the near future.
Any other future agenda items? Hearing none, we'll go to board reports. How about our most recent master's degree holder, Juliana, if you will please give us a report of that. You're gonna go no report, aren't you, after all that? It's up to you.
I was thinking about it, instead of giving me the extra mature, I would go. I want to thank all of you guys for attending my graduation party. I was a little busy with finals, I was taking 60 classes and working full time, but now I'm more free. I'll try my best to work and do everything that I can for the district and for parents, for our students. This is my first report, okay, it's hard. But thank you. I'm excited and I'm really happy, and I hear a lot from the community. They're always telling me about the great things we're doing here. Maybe you guys not seeing what we're doing, but each one of us is doing something, and we talk to parents, schools, and we're working hard. And we hear everything, and we care about all the students and the safeties and everything. Just like I wanted to talk to her about what she was sharing about the schools. We just want to let you know also we care about your students. We have kids at the district. We face same problems sometimes, even with our own kids. We cannot control everything at the schools, but we're trying our best. There is, maybe I'm not supposed to say that, but you guys just heard we hired more people, and we are doing our best to have good people, and we're trying to change things and just to make sure everything is good, and we're doing great job to help our kids. Thank you.
Thank you, Juliana.
Congratulations.
Joe, please do.
I just want to share out about the things that I've been involved with the district over the last month. Really pressing into the speakers. I can't tell you how much time and effort they've poured into this event and the investment that they have. They took this so seriously, and I was just very honored to, and thank you to Karen for the suggestion to be there for Brenham and really try to build and grow a relationship with students is important to me. Sometimes I overlook that piece of my service here on the board, but I think that when I have the opportunity to really press into students that for whatever reason I probably wouldn't know, it helps me to stay grounded, engaged in what our classrooms are doing. I also had the opportunity to go to Crest and spend time there just sharing and doing our music interviews for our principals that are coming up, the principals that will be soon taking their places and their new roles at their various schools. And so we're excited for the direction, the freshness that will be brought to Cajon Valley. We hope that, it will be something and we'll take that in a great direction, more or less. Congratulations to you, Juliana. I know that this has been a very challenging time in your life to juggle so many things. We are very grateful that you are serving along with us and that you have invested so much in Cajon Valley. And I think that's all.
Thank you, Joe. Anthony?
All right, so I think Joe and I visited Bostonia after our last board meeting, right? That's okay. Narelle gave a presentation. I saw the kitchen they use extremely clean, and then I learned that all the kids get food handler, or the kids that work in the kitchen get food handler manager cards, which I got as a teenager, and it's actually served me well through life on understanding like what not to eat at the barbecue. You know, food safety is important.
There's something not to eat at the barbecue?
Yeah, you know, when the food's, when they let the chicken get a little too warm before they put it on the grill, for example. Their workshop's super clean. They are making do with, you know, old portable buildings, and they've created like a state-of-the-art workshop for the kids there. Very excited about David's vision there to add, you know, a proper workshop, you know, 60 or 80,000 square feet. That's awesome. I'm really looking forward to seeing that come to fruition. Met with Daryl Priest out there just to kind of look at possible sites. And I don't know if Jim, if you heard this, if you already left the board meeting, but Daryl's basically offering to put together a program there along with the help of Greg Brown and Ron Signey, where the kids can build houses that can, like, stick-built houses and be hauled off to a site and purchased. You know, Daryl's like, they'll probably sell for $400 grand a piece. He asked the fellow from MIT, what was his name? What's his name? The fellow from MIT, staff member at Bostonia. Maybe Jason, the one running the workshop.
Oh, yeah.
He said, you know, Daryl asked him, do you think you have the enough kids here and talent here to do that? And he's like, oh yes, absolutely. And then I spoke with Julia Cruz, and she was like, you know, there's a place in Santee or Lakeside where they build inside the building, and I was like, oh yeah, the AGC training center. So they're, you know, hopefully made a connection over there for them so they can send kids. But basically, it sounds like all we need to do is give Daryl Priest and co 3,000 to 6,000 square foot of dirt somewhere there, and they can rock and roll and maybe keep it out of the way of the master plan. And he's ready to start in the fall if that's something we can work toward. The benefactors in the community are excited and behind it, so I know the names I mentioned, you know all those guys, but they'll get it done if we give them the dirt to do it.
Oh, no, we give them the green light, we'll get it done.
Did you mention about the cars?
Oh yes, the maker, I don't wanna steal David's thunder on that, but, yeah, inside the actual building, so this is like a little side project out of the way of the master plan where you're gonna build your 60 or 80,000 square foot facility, with, West Coast Customs potentially as a partner there, teaching the kids some very high level, CAD work, like trying to fit a center console on a classic vehicle. That is like advanced CAD work, you know. So they're kids will be learning a lot. They are learning a lot at Bostonia. One thing I gotta mention, and again, this is my own safety mind here. As a teenager who rode public transit in half a dozen European countries and throughout the Northeast, rode the trolley twice as a kid, and I never wanted to do it again. So at Bostonia, and I see the good intention behind it, but they encourage the kids to get MTS passes. And I think the kids get dropped off at school and then might go get on the MTS bus to go work there. Yeah, their mentorships. I think I can count on more than one hand the times I've seen people smoking crack at bus stops in El Cajon. Unfortunately, Southern California, our transit system is like overrepresented by drug addicts, the mentally ill. It's not like it is in New York or Boston or the Northeast. I mean, they're there, but it's, you know, safety in numbers. If you're a I don't want to say normal person, but non-addicted, not mentally ill. So I do have some concerns about parent dropping a kid off at school, kid going to the MTS bus stop and then riding the public transit here in our county. So not to take away from all the great things Boston is doing, because they're doing a lot of great things. Observation at Blossom Valley Elementary was brought to my attention by a parent during lunch on the lawn. I was there with my son that there's been this leak in the library for about 6 years. So I went in there and I pressed my fingers up against the toe kick for the bookshelves, and the tips of my fingers were wet. That same day, our maintenance staff went and cleared this gutter on the roof. I guess the gutter fills up and then spills into the wall of the library, and has been doing so for years, according to the folks there. So I got to stick a moisture meter on it, and this is all starting on page 53. I included pictures, and the moisture meter pegged the charts. It goes up to 50%, just peg the chart. So, and this was probably at least 4 weeks since the last rain event. So I let Scott Bucksbaum and John Heredia know, and they went through the protocol that it sounds like it's kind of the protocol of the district, and that's why I'm bringing it up. They drilled some holes in the toe kick, the wet toe kick, with visible growth, mold or mildew, who knows. Started running a dehumidifier and a fan. So I went in there to look, and I called John, I'm like, hey, I don't think we should be drying this out and blowing it around. We need to remove the affected materials. He agreed. He said, go ahead and shut off the fan. Then they're pulling the bookshelves, and you know, this is one of those things where you read in the board books, you're not supposed to get involved at this high level, but I'm a dad and my kid goes there, so I got involved. I said, you know, what's the plan now? And they said, well, we're gonna try to repair what's here. And so I reached down and I just pulled a toe kick, because they'd removed the shelves, and it revealed this massive amounts of mold, or mildew. Didn't get tested. So the idea was to test it, and I'm like, okay, I can pull up the California Department of Public Health guidelines on this, and I highlighted those, because I think we should follow them. There should not be visible mold growth or strong moldy odors in the workplace. Your employer must prevent uncontrolled indoor accumulation of water that may cause mold. Focus on fixing the problem, not testing for mold. Environmental sampling is usually unnecessary, since all types of mold should be eliminated. Moldy porous materials usually require removal and replacement. So when I went in on Friday morning, I saw a dehumidifier and a fan running, and there's some pictures when I've taken the moisture measurement and then after of these bookshelves, and they already had accumulation of, you know, from 3 days prior, accumulation of, I don't think it was dust, I think it was dehumidifying and blowing this stuff around the room. There's a classroom adjacent to the library at Blossom Valley where there's kindergartners. So I asked John, you know, what's the plan? And he said, well, we're gonna try and wipe it down. I said, I think this goes through the drywall. So then they bust a hole in the drywall. The insulation was wet. We pulled the drywall, and there was growth on the back of the drywall. So the point being, and I'm sure, you know, that they told me there's another part of that library that gets wet. And I know Hamishaw is like a identical school, so it's probably got a roof that's past its useful age. But if wherever we have wet interior spaces in the district and porous materials that have gotten wet, we need, or not testing, removal, remove those things from the indoor space. And that's in keeping with California Department of Public Health guidelines on it. John asked me, well, what would you want us to do here. I said, I don't think we should have ran the fans in the dehumidifier with visible growth. And he said, I agree. So I think we're on the same page, but like, I want these guys to have a blank checkbook when it comes to removing water saturated interior materials and eliminating the source of the moisture intrusion, which is another thing John said. Right now, the capacity of the maintenance department is strained beyond belief. It would take them potentially 5 years to get to Blossom Valley, based on the current schedule. They only have capacity for about $2.5 million worth of work every summer, because obviously you gotta have guys let in, even if you hire it out, right? So I'd like to look into accelerating the schedule, anything we can do to avail resources to these guys to especially deal with the indoor air quality concerns, and hopefully get to it sooner than 5 years from now. So that's Blossom Valley. Okay, here's another one, and this is, so I signed up through the curriculum we were going to adopt for HRC.org's action alerts. I immediately started getting these emails specifically mentioning middle school, targeted at middle schoolers. Then I get an invite to go to the Parkway Bowl for Bowling for Equality. I walk in, there's probably 40 HRC volunteers there. 2 adults dressed in drag selling raffle tickets, announcing over the loudspeaker that $5 buys you 1 raffle ticket, $20 buys you the length of raffle tickets, equivalent to your
There's kids.
or equivalent to your bus circumference. And then they announced over the loudspeaker that if you would like a longer strip of raffle tickets, you could use the bust measurements of very large bust measurements of the adult selling raffle tickets. I saw them selling raffle tickets in this way to people who appeared to be children. This was an ill-conceived fundraiser. Jim and I are on a nonprofit board together, like, switch the roles, imagine the East County posse selling raffle tickets to children in that way, inviting them through their school curriculum, right? And they know they're in this curriculum now because the law passed, so it's predatory, but it's also very local, and they're trying to invite 12-year-olds to these local fundraisers for their activist organizations. Now, people are free to be the Westboro Baptist Church and go protest funerals of armed servicemen with horrific, offensive things. They don't have the right to establish direct contact relationships with children in the classroom, 12-year-olds, and invite them to these inappropriate events where I observed adults, Parkway Bowl, go get a beer, you do some bowling with your kids, right? Well, at least that's what I do. But these folks were apparently strange adults with the kids, multiple alcoholic beverages on the bowling lanes, like, just, again, very ill-conceived fundraising event. And it was a representation of these radical groups showing up in our own backyard, inviting our children through their curriculum. Not ours, because we didn't adopt the curriculum, but.
Good. Expect a lot of Alpine people coming back down, because they're very upset about their sunset curriculum that has.
It's that curriculum.
Okay, now, that was Saturday, right before I went to the TEDx event, so let me sandwich this with very positive. It was such a breath of fresh air to leave that HRC fundraiser and go to TEDx and see what a professionally run, student event looks like. It was a very, very awesome event, and thanks to the staff of the district for putting it on. I thoroughly enjoyed hearing what the kids had to say and seeing all the work they did and the performances outside. Just a real classy event. So with that, I'll conclude my board report.
Thank you, Anthony. Karen.
Wow. I'll just do real short because we got to see all our students today and give them their accolades. I'm so proud of our students for speaking their passions. And this year we started with the Community Mentor Program. We had started a small one last year. This year, still organically moving for we got to pair the students with their future selves. You've got to see Sid Vivek, who was paired with another student, and just some really exciting opportunities for our students to see somebody that has the same passion as they're speaking about. You got to see Babish, who called Dr. Michero out from the stage to get her powerful puppies to have the like love on a leash or a different therapy dog. So very exciting to hear the passion and to see their excitement tonight. I'm just so proud of our students and the staff that worked tirelessly to make sure that they were the show. They were on the limelight and not about anything else but what they were doing. So I appreciate it.
Thank you, Karen. I'll keep mine short. Had the opportunity to tour Avocado. Want to thank Scott as well as Johnny for getting right back to me on a couple of things I saw over at Avocado. I did not see mold infestation, luckily.
Good.
Could be mildewed. Could be mildewed. Could be mildewed. But no, really enjoyed going to Avocado. Two of my older stepkids went to Avocado when they were in elementary school, and that's it's kind of neat to go and see where they've come from, because now they're in their 30s. Comments made by the public this evening, taking it to heart. There's nothing more important. I say this all the time. That we have two jobs: educate your students, keep them safe. The issue that the lady brought up about the safety issue, recognizing that she is clearly impassioned about her concern. Also recognizing that her information is at least 3 generations old by the time it gets to her and what she understands and is interpreting. But I'm sure the school site needs to pay attention and do what they need to do to keep those kids safe. With regard to the PDA issues, I'm a father of daughters, so I don't know if you want me drafting the PDA requirements or not. But I totally understand the situation.
We're talking about holding hands and hugging, not kissing.
No,
I was kissing, trust me, her mouth would be in trouble.
I wasn't recognized. I also recognize the duplicity of the thing. Again, 2 girls holding hands or hugging each other, and nobody seems to bat an eye at that. I don't necessarily think that is a gender woke issue. I think it's just
We don't like it.
kids being friendly to each other. I coach girls, right? So that's what they do when they show up. They give each other big hugs, then they go try to kick each other's butt on the field. It's a nice juxtaposition on that. So I'm gonna keep mine short. A lot of good information. Again, congratulations, Juliana. I was very, very privileged to be able to attend, and the TEDx speakers. And I did not get to attend TEDx myself. I was preparing for a very rigorous trial, which is always a fun thing to do on a Saturday and Sunday, and then the rest of the week, and then the following weekend. But nonetheless, David, your report.
Thank you. I have a couple of letters to share. I'm going to have Cajon start because she observed some of our employees in action at lunch, and I thought her story was great.
I'll share. I went on my lunch to a local place here, and I ran into a couple of staff members, Amy and Ina Campos, who work with special education, and they somehow noticed that a gentleman that was sitting close to us wasn't doing okay, and it was just really amazing to see how they jumped into action to make sure that this gentleman was okay. Ina immediately went and gave instructions to the staff on calling 911 and staying the whole time to make sure that this gentleman got the help that he needed from paramedics. And so it was just really great to see because I've witnessed them just working so hard. It's Amy Archer and Ina Campos working so hard and the efforts that they put into to make sure that our students are receiving the services that they should be receiving. And so to see them just out, in the regular world, put in that same type of care, it was amazing. So I just thought it was a really cool thing to share.
Thank you, Cajon. These are letters from parents. One is from Crest, and I'll just paraphrase a little bit. My kid is a little bit more active in parentheses than others, which is why we chose Crest. I was concerned about whether I needed to move ahead and get him tested to to make sure he's getting all the support necessary. I brought my concerns to Lauren Luca, his teacher, who immediately gave him activities in a team. Tiffany Sanchez, Maine Nagoski, Miss Leon. We started putting my son in a small peer group to help with positive social interaction. He responded so well that his academic went up and his anxiety went down. The accountability and support have literally transformed my son's life. He's responded brilliantly, is more self-aware, self-regulating, and attentive. I want to do my part to make people know as much as possible the care and attention my son received at Crest School. It's a special place. With gratitude, Rosie Crescitelli, and we sent some treats up to Crest for the whole staff to acknowledge the teamwork there. This is from a parent at ANZA. To whom it may concern, and I'm sharing this, I get these, and I think it's important to share with you. I want you to know that ANZA Elementary took care of my child who isn't vocal and has speech problems. I've never seen so much love and respect for my son and myself from other schools like I've had in the past. The ANZA team cares for him, starting with the principal. It's a team effort. We put a team together to care for my son who's met with me throughout the year. I don't know what I would do without you. And she lists Kim Reese as specialist, Kathy Cloyd, paraeducator, Susan Grail, teacher, Aya Kale, SLP, Lauren Amber, OT, Carter Hagner, APE, and Danae Parks, nurse. P.S. So much change in my son. I cannot believe how much he's improved since this team worked with him. I appreciate that. Please share with others. I said I would share with the board. And this is a little bit off script, but we cabinet who work for our amazing board, we're so grateful for the opportunity to serve you. And our job is to, following board meetings, take actions and deliver. And I liken it to I'll use a football analogy for Trustee Miller. The board's a quarterback and you throw out passes for us, and our job is to make sure we catch the pass and take it to the end zone. Some of those passes are easy, get it, run straight in. Some of them are like bowling balls, where we gotta catch it and kind of do a little bit more work. But regardless, we know what's expected of us at work, and we intend to deliver as a team, understand the values and the vision of the board, and to make sure it aligns with our district vision. And so I wanted to comment that this week we completed our Gallup polls. You're gonna see our cabinet Gallup scores in our evaluation meeting shortly. And question one is, I know what's expected of me at work. Every employee knows that the expectation is that we contribute to happy kids and healthy relationships on a path to gainful employment. Happy kids, kids that are self-aware, they know themselves, they develop self-esteem because we show them how beautiful they are. Healthy relationships, friendships with others, not just their peers and classmates, but the adults on campus too. Every child, their story is seen, heard, and known. And then the world of work, gainful employment, building a vocational identity for kids with multiple experiences like the ones that Trustee Carnevale just shared that we're looking at Bostonia. So kids can tinker and practice and explore before they even get into high school to know what their options are. That's what's expected. Question two is, I have the materials and resources to do my job well. And that's something that we have to constantly work with our labor unions on to make sure our employees have the tools they need. Many of those tools come in the form of curriculum. Question number 7 is, at work my opinions seem to count. Education as an industry across Gallup surveys scores the lowest in that area. We've worked really hard with our teachers union to give discretion to our teachers, to trust them to make curricular judgments. Our principals to experiment with new programs and ideas. Crest Outdoor Immersion came as a proposal here with a principal with an idea. And we like that innovation. And so, now that I'm starting my 11th year here, I've been to every classroom in our district. I've met just about every employee, maybe not some of the new ones. There isn't an employee in our district that doesn't want these things. Happy kids and healthy relationships on path to gainful employment. And I don't think that there's an employee in our district, classified certificate of management, that doesn't have the family unit as a goal, or the best interest of our students in everything that they bring to the classroom. So as we think about policies and resolutions and directions moving forward, especially in terms of curriculum, I ask that you lean on Michelle, Karen, myself, and our leaders here, and give us some room to execute the board's vision. There's no question what the board wants. I want to say we're grateful for that and appreciate the level of engagement and research and all the things that you do to try to improve things for our kids.
Thank you. With that, we will adjourn. It is 8:06. Back to closed session.